Listen, before I tell you this story, let me just say one thing. The day Chioma farted inside that BRT bus on a hot Lagos afternoon, even the conductor forgot to collect money. I'm not joking. The man just stood there, frozen, his mouth hanging open like he had seen the physical manifestation of his village people. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning because this story will teach you something. This is Echoes of Wisdom by Crystal. Stay with me. Her name was Chioma Okoye, and her shadow, her twin in everything but blood, was Zainab. They weren't just friends. They were sisters born from the red dust of Enugu. From their days sharing one cabin biscuit in secondary school to their years at Unizik, they were a single unit. They moved to Lagos at 22 with 2 suitcases and a shared dream of conquering the city that doesn't sleep. They rented a one-room self-containing surulere, where the wardrobe was the only thing standing between their beds and their secrets. They wore each other's bras, borrowed each other's wigs, and fought over the last piece of meat in the pot only to make up 5 minutes later. It was the kind of friendship that Lagos usually breaks, but they thought they were different. Both of them were beautiful. Let me make that clear from the start. Chioma was beautiful. She had smooth, dark skin like melted chocolate, nice full lips, bright eyes that sparkled when she laughed, and a smile that could light up a Eko bridge at midnight. But Zainab was what Lagos people call baddest. And I'm not talking about character. I'm talking about the kind of beauty that makes people walk into poles while looking at you. Zainab had everything the world told you was important. Perfect hourglass figure, the kind that made the number 8 look like it wasn't curvy enough. Her hips would enter a room before she did, and her waist was so snatched that people suspected she removed 2 ribs. Smooth face, long legs, and a backside that defied the laws of physics and gravity. When Zainab walked, it was like watching poetry in motion. She didn't just move. She glided, bounced, and announced herself. And oh, the attention she got. When they walked to the market in Tejuosho, vendors would literally abandon other customers. Sister with the blue dress, yes you, fine girl, come and buy. Meanwhile, Chioma would be standing right there, invisible, holding their shopping list. At their church, Living Faith, the ushers would scramble to seat Zainab, offering her the best spot with the fan, while Chioma found her own seat. Even the pastor would lose his train of thought mid-sermon when Zainab walked in late, her heels kicking against the tile floor. But nowhere was it more obvious than at work. They both worked at Euphoria Lounge, the biggest, most expensive bar in Lekki Phase 1. The kind of place where politicians, oil magnates, Yahoo boys who had hit it big, and celebrities came to throw money around. Chioma worked as a bartender, while Zainab was a waitress, but you would think Zainab owned the place with the way customers treated her. Every single night, it was the same pattern. Baby girl, the men would call out, waving words of naira notes. You, sexy, come here, let me order through you. They would order the most expensive drinks just to have Zainab bring them to their table. They would tip her 50,000 naira for bringing a bottle of Hennessy. 50,000. Some nights, Zainab would go home with over 200,000 in tips alone, not counting the gifts. Perfumes, jewelry, car keys. Yes, someone once gave her car keys to a Mercedes-Benz. She didn't accept it, but still. Even the women couldn't resist her. Female customers would call her over just to compliment her. My dear, your body is amazing. Do you work out? What do you eat? Who is your doctor? Please, can I take a picture with you? Instagram baddie after Instagram baddie would pose with Zainab, tagging her, boosting her social media presence without her even trying. Meanwhile, Chioma would be behind the bar, mixing drinks, watching everything. At first, she was happy for her friend. Zainab was generous. She shared her tips, bought both food, paid for Ubers home. Babe, this one is for both of us, she would say sweetly. And she meant it. Zainab had a good heart. She wasn't proud or conceited. She was just blessed physically. But as months turned into a year, something started growing in Chioma's chest. Something dark and ugly that she didn't want to name. It started small, like a seed. A tiny voice in her head that whispered when men looked past her to call Zainab. That voice grew louder when they went shopping together and store attendants focused only on Zainab. It became a shout when Chioma's own crush, a guy called Chima, who she had been eyeing for months, asked her to help her get Zainab's number. I begged Chioma, "You're her friend, Abby. Just help a brother. Tell her I'm a good guy. I work at Dangote. I have my own apartment in Aja. I'm serious, oh. Not these Yahoo boys that are always disturbing her. Please now." That day, Chioma got home and cried. She didn't even know why she was crying. It's not like she wanted Chima that badly, but it was the principle. She was always the bridge, never the destination. Always the wing woman, never the woman. Always in the shadow, never in the sun. She started watching Zainab more carefully, studying her. What did she have that Chioma didn't? Yes, the curves, the shape, the figure. That was it. That was the difference. Everything else was the same. They were both intelligent, funny, kind. But the world didn't care about that. The world cared about what it could see. And Chioma began to save money. She didn't tell Zainab. She created a secret account and started depositing money religiously. She stopped buying clothes, stopped eating out, stopped every small enjoyment. When Zainab asked her to follow her to the new restaurants in Victoria Island, she would make excuses. "I'm tired," or "I need to save money." She picked up extra shifts at the bar, worked on her off days, smiled through the invisibility. She spent her nights scrolling through Instagram, looking at before and after pictures. Dr. Sophia's cosmetic surgery in Ikeja, Dr. Tunde's body sculpting in Lekki. She read testimonials, watched transformation videos, joined secret Facebook groups where women discussed their procedures. She learned about BBL, Brazilian butt lift. She learned about breast augmentation. She studied recovery times, pain levels, and costs. It took her 2 full years to save 3 million naira. 3 million naira for a new body, for a new life. She told Zainab she was traveling to the village for a family emergency. Zainab, sweet concerned Zainab, offered her money for transport. Chioma almost broke down and confessed everything, but she didn't. She hugged her friend, collected the 50,000 naira and went to Dr. Sophia's clinic. Dr. Sophia was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes but a very business-like manner. She looked at Chioma's body, asked her what she wanted, and didn't try to talk her out of it. That should have been Chioma's first warning, but she was too excited, too desperate for change. I want a full BBL, breast augmentation, and liposuction on my stomach," Chioma said confidently, like she was ordering jollof rice. "That's a major procedure. Very painful recovery. You sure?" "Very sure." "You have support at home, someone to take care of you?" Chioma lied. Yes. She didn't. She had rented a studio short-let apartment in Ikeja specifically for recovery. She couldn't risk anyone knowing, at least not yet. The surgery happened on a Thursday. When Chioma woke up, she thought she had died and gone to hell. The pain was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It felt like her body had been disassembled and put back together wrongly. She couldn't sit properly. She had to use a special pillow. She couldn't lie on her back. She couldn't sleep. Every movement was agony. But when she looked in the mirror after the swelling started going down, she forgot about the pain. She had hips, real massive hips that curved out like a proper figure 8. Her breasts stood at attention, high and full. Her stomach was flat like an ironing board. She looked like the girls on Instagram. She looked like someone that men would notice. She looked like Zainab. No, she looked better. The recovery took 6 weeks. She told everyone she was still in the village, posted old pictures on her WhatsApp status to keep up appearances. She ate the prescribed meals, took her medications, wore her compression garments, and waited. When she finally decided to reveal herself, she planned it like a movie premiere. She bought new clothes, tight dresses that showed off every new curve, jeans that made her backside look like 2 basketballs fighting in a bag, crop tops that displayed her flat stomach. She got her hair done in long flowing Brazilian weave. She beat her face with makeup until she looked like a different person. She practiced walking in heels with her new body, learning how to balance the weight distribution. Then she returned to Lagos and posted one picture on Instagram with the caption, "The Lagos Slayer has arrived." The picture broke her phone, not literally, but the notifications were so many that her phone hanged for 5 minutes. Likes poured in, comments flooded. "Who is this? Chioma, is this you? Chi, what happened though?" Body goals. "You did that, sis." Zainab called her from work immediately, screaming, "Babe, what is this I'm seeing on Instagram? Where have you been? What did you do? You look amazing." There was genuine happiness in Zainab's voice, but Chioma, for the first time, didn't care about Zainab's opinion. She had become the main character in her own story. When Zainab finally saw her, she literally screamed. She circled Chioma like she was inspecting a new car, mouth open. Chioma Neoma Okole, there was no family emergency. You did surgery? You didn't tell me. Why didn't you tell me? I would have gone with you, held your hand. Something could have happened to you. I didn't want to disturb you, Chioma told her. When she returned to Euphoria Lounge, the entire building stopped. I mean, literally stopped. The DJ paused the music for a second. Customers turned. Even the manager came out of his office. Chioma, is that you? She walked in with her new hips swaying, her new breasts leading the way, her face beat to the gods. She smiled. Yes, it's me. That night, everything changed. Men who had never noticed her before suddenly developed memory loss. Wait, you've been working here all along? How did I not see you? They called her to their tables. They tipped her even though she wasn't their waitress. They asked for her number, her Instagram, her relationship status. And her Instagram? Oh, it exploded. In 1 week, she went from 400 followers to 40,000. People were reposting her pictures, tagging her, talking about her transformation. Blog sites picked up her story. Lady shows off incredible transformation. Before and after pictures will shock you. She started getting paid for promotions. Tea sellers wanted her to advertise their flat tummy tea. Waist trainers companies sent her free products. She was making money from just existing online. She was finally seen, finally visible, finally the one people looked at. Zainab was still beautiful, of course, but now when they walked together, people noticed both of them. Sometimes they even noticed Chioma more because her transformation was more dramatic, more impressive. She was the topic of conversation. She called her mother in Enugu and told her she was doing well in Lagos. Her mother said, I know, I have been seeing your pictures. Your auntie Chinyere has been asking if you did surgery. Chioma said, Mommy, I went to the gym. Her mother said, with the particular that Igbo mothers use when they have decided to allow a lie to live for now and revisit it later. Life was good. Lagos Slayer. People started calling her by her Instagram name on the streets. She loved it. She posed for pictures with strangers, blew kisses at cameras, lived her best life. But fame in Lagos has a weight, and Chioma was tired of carrying it in a one-room apartment in Surulere. She looked at the peeling paint on their shared wall and then at the 500,000 naira alert on her phone from a skincare brand. The math didn't add up anymore. Babe, I have to move, Chioma told Zainab one Tuesday morning. Zainab didn't argue. She just looked at the half-packed suitcase and the space on the floor where Chioma's shoes used to be. Lekki is far, Chi. Who will help you cook your pepper soup when you are tired? Chioma laughed, but the laugh was thin. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. I paid the landlord for the next 6 months for this place. You don't have to worry about rent for a while. Just focus on yourself, okay? It was a generous gesture, a thank you for the years of sharing bread and dreams. But as Chioma walked out the door, they both felt it. She moved into a sleek, white-walled studio in Lekki Phase 1. It had a balcony that overlooked the traffic she used to be stuck in, and a bathroom mirror that made her new body look like a masterpiece. She was finally Lagos Slayer in a Lagos Slayer zip code. She stopped sharing her tips. She stopped sharing her life. She was alone in her perfect apartment, finally the main character, with nobody to witness the silence. For 3 months, it was paradise. Pure, absolute, expensive paradise. And then the problem started. It began with small things. She would feel bloated sometimes, uncomfortable. Her stomach would make weird gurgling noises. She thought it was just her body adjusting. Then came the gas. The first time it happened, she was at home, thank God. She farted and it was so loud and so long that she frightened herself. It sounded like a motorcycle starting. And the smell? Jesus Christ. The smell was like something had died, resurrected, and died again inside her intestines. She laughed it off. Everyone gets gas sometimes, right?
But it didn't stop. It got worse and worse. She would be walking down the street and suddenly she would feel the pressure building. Sometimes she could hold it, sometimes she couldn't. She started avoiding crowded places. She started wearing heavy perfume, carrying air freshener in her bag. Then came the incident at the mall. She was at Palms Mall in Lekki, shopping with Zainab. They were in Nike store, looking at sneakers. Chioma was taking pictures for Instagram, posing with her new curves in tight leggings. A small crowd had gathered. People were recording her, hyping her up. Lagos Slayer, show us. Yes, queen. She was feeling herself, doing a little twirl when she felt it. The pressure, strong, urgent. She clenched. She squeezed every muscle she could squeeze. But her body had other plans. It came out like thunder, a long, loud, rumbling fart that echoed through the store, the kind that seemed to have different movement. It started low, went high, then finished with a staccato of small puts. The store went silent. Someone's phone dropped. A child started crying. The smell arrived 3 seconds later, and people scattered like they had received a bomb threat. Ah, what is that? Jesus, I can taste it. Chioma ran out of that store like Usain Bolt was chasing her, leaving Zainab confused and the entire crowd traumatized. Unfortunately, at least 5 people had been recording. By the time she got home, the video was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn for some reason. Lagos Slayer releases biological weapon in Palms Mall. The comments were merciless. People laughed. People created memes. Someone put her fat sound over the Avengers theme music. Another person created a remix. Lagos Twitter had a field day. Chioma was humiliated, but she thought it was a one-time thing. She apologized on her Instagram, made a joke about eating too many beans, and hoped it would blow over. But it didn't blow over. The incident continued. At a birthday party in Banana Island, she was dancing in front of everyone when it happened again. This time, the DJ was playing Burna Boy, and her fart was so loud and so perfectly timed that people thought it was part of the song, until the smell hit. The celebrant mother fainted. I'm not exaggerating, the woman actually fainted. At the salon, while getting her hair done, she released one so deadly that 2 women immediately washed out their half-done treatment and left. The salon owner begged her to never return and refunded her money. But the BRT incident, that one became the stuff of legend. It was a Monday morning. Chioma had taken Uber to Ikorodu for a meeting with a hair brand. The meeting was short, but the traffic heading back to the island was so massive that every Uber she tried to book cancelled. To beat the gridlock, so she joined the BRT bus. The bus was packed. I'm talking sardine-level packed. People pressed against each other, sweating, complaining about the heat. Chioma was standing near the middle, squashed between a man in agbada and a woman with a crying baby. She felt it coming, that familiar pressure. She panicked. She clenched with all her strength. She prayed to every deity she could remember. But Lagos traffic showed no mercy. The bus kept stopping and starting, and with each jolt, her control weakened. Then, the bus hit a pothole. What came out of Chioma that morning was not just
What is that smell?
it was an announcement. It was a declaration. It was a spiritual experience for everyone in that bus.
God!
The sound was so loud that the driver thought the tire had burst. He slammed the brakes.
We're under
People
attack.
screamed. The conductor
out.
grabbed the door like they were under attack. And then, as the shock wore off, the smell arrived 3 seconds later. Imagine every rotten thing you've ever encountered, multiplied by 1,000. People started gagging. The woman with the baby pushed her way to the door like it was a war zone. The man in Agbada began praying in tongues, while someone else shouted Jesus in pure terror. Passengers scrambled, some even trying to climb through the windows. The driver, unable to take it, slammed the brakes, hit the emergency door release, and was the first to dive out. Within 45 seconds, the bus was empty. They all stood on the hot asphalt, gasping for air and looking at the bus like it was haunted. Chioma stayed inside, frozen in the middle of the empty aisle, tears streaming down her face. Someone had recorded it. Of course someone had recorded it. The video went viral immediately. Not just in Nigeria, it traveled. Ghanaians were making jokes, South Africans were remixing it, even people in America were tweeting about the Lagos Slayer BRT incident. Her Instagram became a mockery. Her DMs were filled with insults and jokes.
The brands that had been paying her for promotion dropped her immediately. One waist trainer company even asked for their products back. Men who had been shooting their shot blocked her. Blog sites wrote, "The fall of Lagos Slayer, from beauty queen to fat meme." She stopped going outside. She stopped posting on social media. Zainab tried to comfort her, but Chioma was too embarrassed to face even her best friend. The incident didn't stop. In her own apartment, she would fart so loudly that her neighbors would bang on the wall. She went to her regular hospital, but the doctors couldn't find anything conclusive. They gave her different medications, gas relief, probiotics, dietary changes. Nothing worked. She went back to Dr. Sophia, the surgeon. Dr. Sophia examined her, ran some tests, and gave her the news with the same business-like manner. "It's a complication from the surgery. Sometimes, when we do extensive liposuction and fat transfer, it affects the digestive system, especially if there was any undetected issue before. You will need corrective surgery." How much? Another 2 million, maybe more. Chioma didn't have 2 million. She had spent everything. She was now jobless, memeless, and breaking wind like a broken trumpet. Her brand managers had pulled out of deals. She went home that day and cried until she had no tears left. She looked at herself in the mirror, at her augmented breasts, her sculpted hips, her flat stomach, all the things she thought would make her happy, and felt nothing but regret. She thought about ending it all, really thought about it. What was the point? She had tried to be beautiful, tried to be seen, and all she got was humiliation. She was now more invisible than before, hiding in her house, afraid of her own body. One night, at her lowest point, the stomach pain got so bad that she thought she was dying. She called an emergency number and they took her to the nearest hospital, which happened to be a private hospital in Isolo. The doctor on call was a man named Dr. Chukwuemeka Okunko, a consultant surgeon who dealt with the messy reality of internal organs. He was tall, dark-skinned, with a gentle face and the kind of calm voice that made you feel safe. He examined her while she lay on the emergency bed, humiliated and in pain, still releasing occasional gas that made the nurses excuse themselves. He didn't laugh, he didn't mock, he didn't even flinch. He just walked, professional and kind, asking her questions about her medical history. And Chioma, tired of hiding, tired of lying, told him everything: the surgery, the complications, the humiliation. She cried while talking, expecting him to judge her, but he just listened. After the examination and some tests, he sat beside her bed. "You have some internal damage from the surgery. The procedure wasn't done properly. Some of the fat transfer has affected your intestinal function, and there's some nerve damage causing the excessive gas. You need corrective surgery." "I know, I can't afford it." He was quiet for a moment, then said something that surprised her. "I'll do it. Not free of charge, I can't do that. The hospital won't allow it. But I know a foundation that sponsors corrective surgeries for botched procedures. I'll get you approved. You won't pay a kobo." She looked at him confused. "Why? You don't know me." He smiled. "Because you're a person in pain and I'm a doctor. That's reason enough. Plus," he hesitated, then continued, "I lost my sister to a botched cosmetic surgery 3 years ago. She was beautiful, but she didn't think so. She went to a cheap clinic and they made mistakes. By the time she came to me, it was too late. I couldn't save her. So now, when I see cases like yours, I help. Consider it my way of honoring her memory." Chioma cried again, but this time from relief and gratitude. The surgery happened 2 weeks later. Dr. Chukwuemeka, he insisted she call him Emeka, which confused her because it was a different Emeka, but somehow felt meant to be, was thorough. He reversed the botched work, fixed the internal damage, and removed most of the augmentations. He gave her a choice about keeping the breasts, but she said no. She wanted to go back to herself. The recovery was long, but this time she wasn't alone. Dr. Emeka checked on her every day, not just as a doctor, but as a friend. He would sit by her bed and talk to her about life, dreams, fears.
He told her about his sister, about how she had been so obsessed with looking like celebrities that she lost sight of her own worth. Beauty is not a competition, he said one day, and it's definitely not just physical. The world will make you think it is, but that's a lie. Real beauty is in how you make people feel, how you treat others, in your kindness, your intelligence, your resilience. What you went through, surviving that humiliation, still being here, still fighting, that's beautiful. Chioma heard him, but she didn't believe him. Not yet. She was back to her old body and she felt like she had lost the attention, lost the glory, lost the dream. Until one day, about a month after her surgery, Dr. Emeka came to check on her and brought her flowers. "These are not medical flowers," he said with a shy smile. "These are I like you flowers." She stared at him. "Why? I'm regular, I'm plain. I'm the girl nobody notices." He sat down and looked at her with such intensity that she felt seen for the first time in her life. Really seen. "You're brilliant," he said. "You are funny. You have the most expressive eyes I've ever seen. They light up when you talk about things you love. You have a beautiful laugh. You're strong. You went through hell and you're still here. You're kind. You never once spoke badly about your friend, even though you were jealous. And yes, you're physically beautiful. You always were. The world was just looking at the wrong things." Chioma didn't know what to say. This man, this good, successful, handsome man, was looking at regular her and seeing something valuable. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "That's the thinking that got you in trouble in the first place," he said gently. "Thinking you had to earn being noticed, thinking you had to change yourself to deserve attention. You deserved it all along. You just needed to see it yourself." It didn't happen overnight. Chioma's journey to self-acceptance was slow and hard. She had to unlearn years of comparison, years of thinking she was less than. But Dr. Emeka was patient. He showed her every single day that she was enough, more than enough. He introduced her to his family, who loved her immediately. He took her out, and when other women in their curves and contours walked by, he never looked. His eyes stayed on her. He encouraged her to go back to school and finish the degree she had abandoned. He celebrated her small wins. He loved her genuinely and completely. Zainab, sweet Zainab, apologized for never noticing how Chioma had felt. "I was so used to the attention that I never thought about how it affected you. I'm so sorry, babe. You're my sister. I should have seen." They healed their friendship. Chioma realized that it was never Zainab's fault. Zainab didn't ask for the attention. She was just living her life. The problem was a world that put women against each other, that made beauty a competition instead of a celebration. Dr. Emeka proposed to Chioma 1 year later at the same hospital where he had first treated her. He got down on a knee in the emergency room and said, "You came here broken, and I watched you heal, not just physically, but in here." He pointed to his chest. "You are the strongest, most beautiful woman I know. Will you marry me?" She said yes. Obviously, she said yes. Their wedding was small, intimate, filled with people who loved them for who they were, not what they looked like. Chioma wore a simple dress that made her feel beautiful because of the smile on her husband's face when he saw her, not because of how it showed off any particular body part. After the wedding, Chioma started speaking at schools and youth conferences. She shared her story, the jealousy, the surgery, the humiliation, the redemption. She didn't hide the embarrassing parts. She told them about the BRT incident, and people laughed, and she laughed with them, because she had learned that her worst moments didn't define her.
"I chased beauty," she would tell young girls, "and it nearly destroyed me. I thought if I looked a certain way, I would be happy. But happiness doesn't come from people noticing you. It comes from you noticing yourself, from valuing who you are, not just what you look like. Your worth is not in your waist size, your cup size, or your social media likes. Your worth is inherent. You are valuable simply because you exist."
She would tell them about the doctors who prey on insecurity, about the dangers of botched surgeries, about the mental health crisis of comparison. But most importantly, she would tell them about finding someone who sees you, really sees you, and how that starts with seeing yourself first. Sometimes, after her talks, young girls would come up to her, crying, confessing their own insecurities, their plans for surgery, their feelings of inadequacy. And Chioma would hug them and say, "You are enough. Right now, as you are enough." Dr. Emeka would sometimes join her, speaking from a medical perspective about the risks of cosmetic surgery, about choosing qualified doctors if you must do it, about doing it for yourself and not for validation. Together, they started a foundation that offered free corrective surgeries for victims of botched procedures and free therapy for people struggling with body image issues. They called it Seen Foundation because everyone deserves to be seen for who they truly are. Chioma never went back to Instagram fame. Her Lagos Slayer account remained, but she changed it to a platform for body positivity and mental health. Most of her viral followers left, but the ones who stayed were real. They engaged with her message. They shared their own stories. They built a community of healing. And yes, she still saw beautiful women with perfect curves and perfect faces. Sometimes for a split second, the old feelings would try to resurface. But then she would look at her husband, at the life they built, at the girls she was helping, at the peace she finally had, and she would remember beauty fades, trends change, but who you are at your core, that's forever. One day, years later, she ran into a group of young girls at the mall. They were looking at her, whispering. She prepared herself for the mockery, the fat jokes, the humiliation. But instead, one of them approached her nervously. "Excuse me, are you Chioma, the one who does the talks at schools?" "Yes, that's me." The girl's face lit up. "Oh my God, you're my role model. I was going to do surgery because I didn't like my body, but I watched your videos and I changed my mind. Thank you. You literally saved me from making a huge mistake." Chioma hugged that girl and she cried because that was it. That was the attention she had always wanted, not for her body, but for her impact, not for what she looked like, but for what she stood for. That night, as she lay in bed next to her husband, she thought about her journey, from invisible to visible to viral to humiliated to healed. It had been painful, embarrassing, hard, but it had been necessary. She had to lose herself to find herself. Dr. Emeka stared beside her, pulling her closer. "What are you thinking about?" "About how I thought being noticed was everything and how wrong I was." He kissed her forehead. "You are noticed now by the people who matter, by people's lives you are changing. And by me," she added, "and by you, always by me." She smiled in the darkness. She thought about young Chioma, standing in Zainab's shadow, thinking she was worthless. If she could go back and tell that girl one thing, it will be this: you don't need to change your body. You need to change your mind. You don't need surgery. You need vision, the vision to see yourself as valuable. You don't need to be the Lagos Slayer. You just need to be Chioma. And Chioma is more than enough. The end? No, not the end. The beginning. Because every day she woke up and chose to see herself truly. And every day she helped another young person do the same. And that was the real beauty. The kind that doesn't sag, doesn't fade, doesn't need filters or surgery or validation. The kind that just is. So if you're reading this or listening to this and you've ever felt invisible, felt like you're not enough, felt like you need to change everything about yourself to be valued, hear this. You are already valuable. You are already enough. You are already beautiful. The world might not see it yet. You might not see it yet. But it's there. It's always been there. Don't be like Chioma and wait for a BRT bus full of traumatized passengers to learn this lesson. Learn it now. See yourself now. Value yourself now. Because when you do, you won't just be seen, you'll be free. And that, my friends, is the real transformation. Your worth was never something you had to earn, prove, or reshape. It didn't begin when people started noticing you, and it doesn't end when they stop. It has always been there, quiet, constant, unshaken, waiting for you to recognize it. If this story touched you in any way, don't just scroll past it. Like this video so more people can see it. Share it with someone who needs this message. And in the comments, tell me, what part of Chioma's story stayed with you the most? And if you want more powerful stories like this, stories that make you think, feel, and grow, make sure you subscribe to Echoes of Wisdom and turn on notifications, because the next story might be the one that changes your life.